Live here on Fox, South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley just announcing her choice to replace Republican Senator Jim DeMint. Senator DeMint announced 2 weeks ago he will step down January 1st. Republican Congressman Tim Scott will take his place, becoming only the 6th African-American to hold a seat in the U.S. Senate and the first African-American GOP senator since 1979. Let's talk about this historic move with David Drucker, an associate politics editor for Roll Call. Jim DeMint became popular, well-known outside of South Carolina as a conservative leader in the Senate. A lot of people, a lot of conservatives disappointed that he is leaving that role. So who is the man who's replacing him?
Well, Congressman Tim Scott was elected in 2010. He's one of the new sort of Tea Party freshmen, if you will. He was no longer going to be a freshman come the next Congress. And I think that for conservatives who monitor voting records, they'll be very satisfied with Tim Scott. I think he's a little bit of a different type of politician than Jim DeMint. I think that he's shown a little bit more of a penchant to, I don't want to say be an establishment player, but he did hold an elected leadership position in the House of Representatives, and I think that he's a little bit less of an outsider type of politician than has been Senator DeMint.
Yeah, they are both Tea Party favorites. This guy, Tim Scott, has a compelling life story. Raised by a single mother, he and his siblings, and said that he was in danger of dropping out of high school when he got a job at a Chick-fil-A franchise, and the manager there sort of took him under his wing.
Yeah, that's correct. He's got a very compelling story. It's not a bad thing for the Republican Party at a time when it's doing some soul searching and trying to make inroads or looking for how it can make inroads into ethnic minority voting populations. And so having Tim Scott as a senator, and any 100 of these guys can make news on any given day just because they're a senator, is going to be, could be very helpful for the Republican Party. And Tim Scott, I had interviewed him in the past couple of years, and one of the things he told me that I was struck with is that it occurred to him that all of the things that need fixing in Washington from his perspective were going to take a lot longer to fix, were a lot harder to fix than he had imagined. And I think that he envisions for himself a very long political career in Washington, D.C., and as a senator who should win election in 2014 to serve out the remainder of Senator DeMint's term, given the type of state he comes from in his politics, he could have a very long and possibly bright future ahead of himself.
Right, because we remember when Roland Burris took President Obama's Senate seat for 2 years. There was a lot of controversy about that, and eventually he said, okay, I'll just be a placeholder. I'll fill the seat until the election, and then I'll get out. Governor Haley said she was looking for a guy who wants to keep the seat, wants to run again.
That's correct. Governor Haley is up for a re-election in 2014. I think she was looking for somebody who would reflect well on her and serve her well as somebody who was joining her at the top of the ticket on the 2014 ballot. I also think that for conservatives in South Carolina, this is an appointment that's going to satisfy them and reflect well on her. She's not necessarily at home as well liked as she is outside of South Carolina. So this appointment politically was very important for her. And I think she did what she needed to do. And I think Tim Scott's going to satisfy a lot of Republicans and should make a lot of people happy in South Carolina, at least at this point. He comes from Charleston. He's got strong ties to the business community there. He's also strong with the Tea Party conservative class. And so I think it was a very politically well-rounded pick, and he's likable. And so if he does his job, if he transitions well to the role of senator, which is a bit more statesman-like than being just a member of the House, things could go quite well for him, and it'll reflect well on Governor Haley.
It's going to be an interesting couple of years. David Drucker from Roll Call. Thank you.
Anytime. Thank you.
Tonight, Governor Haley goes on the